From aspirations to focused action, that is a theme for the organization of the Eastern Caribbean State OECS 11th Council of Ministers, Environment Sustainability comes 11th. For the Department of Information and Public Relations and the Ministry of Natural Resources and Climate Change, I am Berta McKelly Adams. The conference is currently taking place at Maria's by the Sea Hotel and Restaurant. The event will run for 2 consecutive days, Wednesday, July 24th and Thursday, July 26th. In attendance are some of the ministers from the OECS who will share a word with Director of Communications, Mrs. Kara Christopher, about the purpose of the meeting and what they hope to accomplish.
We are here today with Honorable Dr. Natalia D. Wheatley, the Premier of the Virgin Islands. And it's an exciting time here in the BVI as we are hosting the 11th OECS Council of Ministers Environmental Sustainability. Comes 2024. Premier, you are the host today. How do you feel like representing the BVI and having all the dignitaries here in the BVI?
Well, it's always a pleasure to welcome our OECS colleagues. They've been so supportive to the Virgin Islands throughout the years, and this meeting is such an important meeting. We're proud to host it in the Virgin Islands. It's very consequential. We know that Hurricane Beryl passed through the Caribbean, leaving a trail of devastation. Places like St. Vincent and the Grenadines with Union Island, and places like Grenada, with Carriacou, and other places which were completely devastated. This reminds us that climate change is an existential threat to the people of the Caribbean. And that's just one of the challenges that we are taking a look at this meeting, along with so many other things: ocean governance, pollution. There's a number of different areas that impact our environment, the same environment that provides us with a livelihood, because most of the people who visit here as tourists, they cite the environment as perhaps the main reason why they come to the BVI. So we know we have to protect our environment, we have to safeguard it. What we're going through, our regional counterparts are going through as well, so it makes sense for us to work together.
And that's a really good point, Premier. And it's really ironic that we had to postpone
Yes.
this very important conference because of Hurricane Beryl. And it tells us really the importance of what this conference does. And explain to the people who are watching in the BVI, who are watching in the entire Caribbean, what does the environment mean? People say that it's a hoax, like there is nothing called global warming, and that's
Right.
something that we say in our minds. And even persons here in the BVI say, we're so small, it doesn't matter. How do you feel about those type of comments?
Well, we would have gone through Hurricanes Irma and Maria in 2017, and that set us back, over 10 years.
Yeah.
We're still trying to recover, and we're nearly just about 7 years on. And of course, we've had to take enormous debt. We have very expensive loans that we have to get to be able to recover. We still have persons in their private homes who still haven't been able to rebuild homes. We're still not in our government administration complex. So it was hugely consequential on us. And it's getting worse because Hurricane Beryl set records, actually. It's the earliest time where we've had such a powerful storm that it went all the way to Category 5.
Yes.
And we are asking ourselves if this is the new normal. We'll be having to deal with these superstorms starting in June when the hurricane season first starts, all the way to November. So we have to do something to address the challenges of climate change. It is real. The ocean temperatures are getting warmer. Sea levels are rising. Corals are being bleached. There's so many other, we have droughts, we have extreme weather events like floods, and it's costing the government money. And if we don't put mechanisms in place to address this challenge, well, those impacts will become even more devastating than the ones we've experienced before. So we have to be wise. Persons who are saying, well, this is a waste of time, I'm saying, do your homework, get educated. This is a threat that we cannot afford to ignore.
And Premier, the BBI, we're an OT territory and we're very small. And having host this conference is a big deal for us here in the BBI.
Yes, yes.
What is the takeaway that you will have for the people of the Virgin Islands in terms of, that you will have persons saying, can we afford to host a conference of this magnitude? What is the takeaway for folks that are watching this now, and why it's important to have a voice and a presence in that space?
Well, I so love the OECS because the OECS, even though we are overseas territories, they treat us really as equals.
Good.
They give us opportunities to host these very important meetings. Many other countries host meetings. Of course, it would require some level of finance from governments, but actually the benefits are even, more for the country hosting rather than the expenses you have to pay. Of course, the OECS Secretariat, they make quite a bit of investment in these meetings.
Good.
And persons travel here, they have to stay in hotels, they get food from here. They have the opportunity to some persons who've never been to the BVI to visit as almost like a visitor or a tourist. And many times persons decide that they want to come back. So in addition to the tremendous benefits of hosting the meeting, and to be a part of these very consequential and in some instances historic decisions and helping to steer the course, we do have the benefit of persons visiting the Virgin Islands. And this is a type of tourism that we want to build on, which is events tourism.
Yes.
It's also meetings tourism. And as we develop our hotel infrastructure, we'll have more opportunities to host even bigger events. And we're so grateful for Maria's by the Sea, who has always been a wonderful partner as we put on these wonderful events. So the future is bright for us, and you can look forward to us hosting more international meetings, regional and international meetings.
Perfectly said, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Premier of the Virgin Islands, Dr. the Honorable Natalia D. Wheatley, hosting for, is it the first time we're having this hosting here in the BVI, Premier?
I'm not sure whether we've been
A host before.
the chair
The chair.
for the Council of Ministers of Environmental Sustainability. It may not be the first time, but I'm very proud to be the chair. And Honorable Quincy Gomes from Anguilla, another overseas territories, is the outgoing chair. She handed the baton over to me.
She passed the baton.
Yeah, and let me just say she did an excellent job. She's one of the most passionate, most intelligent advocates for the environment that I know. Was very proud that she could hand the baton to me, and I know I will benefit from her knowledge, her experience, her advice, and I'll do the best job possible while I'm in the chair, and hopefully I'll be able to hand over to another minister at some point with a great deal of momentum.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Premier of the Virgin Islands, Honorable Dr. Natalia Wheatley, and Chairperson of the OECS Council of Ministers. We are here live and direct, speaking to the Premier, and we'll have more ministers come as we get to really speak how are they dealing with global warming, all of the effects of the environment, and so we'll hear a little bit more from them, Premier. It's always a pleasure to
It's always
talk
a
to
pleasure,
you.
Kieran.
Thank you so much. As we continue to speak to the different ministers here with the OECS Council of Ministers, we have Honorable Merrick T. Richardson. Thank you, sir, for coming and having a quick conversation with us. Please introduce yourself properly to the Virgin Islands and the rest of the world.
Okay. Hi, my name is Merrick Richardson from the beautiful island of Anguilla. I'm the Parliamentary Secretary responsible in the Ministry of Sustainability Environment. And I'm happy to be here in the BVI.
Oh, we are happy to have you too. Now, we just spoke to the Premier, and of course, he is an incoming chair, and we're so very proud of him for bringing all of you wonderful people here to the Virgin Islands. And we really spoke about what does the sustainability environment mean here for you. Now, we get a lot of flack really all over. There's a lot of people that do not believe that global warming exists. And if they do believe it exists, the narrative really is, why are the Caribbean people spending so much money? Our voice is too small. We don't have enough impact. Why are you here in the Virgin Islands? What is it doing for the territory of Anguilla?
Well, if you live in the Caribbean, and especially the smaller islands of the Caribbean, you should be very concerned about global warming. Every year, we've seen our hurricane increase. The strength of every hurricane is increased. I live in Anguilla. Our last hurricane before Hurricane Irma was 1995. And then from about the year 2000, it just felt 2000 onwards, it felt like every year we were affected by a hurricane. We went between 1965 to 1995, a 30-year gap, without really experiencing any hurricanes. And it feels like every year you're experiencing a hurricane. Every year it's becoming more and more powerful. I mean, we just saw what happened with Hurricane Beryl. We're in June. And we're experiencing a Category 4, 5 hurricane. That alone says about the impact of global warming in the Caribbean. Again, I'm from Anguilla, a small island, and I've seen where our beaches are eroding. I have friends who are divers, and they're telling me the corals are bleaching, and all this is due to climate change. So if you're living in the Caribbean, yes, we might be small islands. Yes, our voices might not be heard worldwide, but we have to keep not making that noise. We have to keep beating that drum, because how else are we going to be heard? We can't stay silent and be washed away. So we have to keep making that noise.
Is it safe to say that being a part of the OECS, you're a united front, and it makes your voice a little bit louder?
Yes. There is strength in the numbers.
Yeah.
And just coming out of the first part of the meeting this morning, you realize that everyone is on the same page. As they say, everyone is singing from the same hymn book. So that makes it amazing. It's just for us to keep our efforts coordinated and keep pushing. Because, like I said before, we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice.
Now, the narrative here in the Virgin Islands is that the infrastructure has taken a beating. The hurricanes, the floods, the roads, are showing signs of wear and tear. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the BVI in the Virgin Islands think that that's unique to just the BVI. I've been a little bit over the Caribbean in recent months, and I know that it's really not as unique as we would say. How is the island of Anguilla dealing with the infrastructural issues?
Well, in terms of the infrastructure, we like to brag that we have the best construction in the Caribbean.
Okay. I just saw you guys have a brand new cultural center.
Yes, and it's amazing. And I invite anyone who's free to come up and enjoy our summer festival and our new cultural center.
Okay.
But in terms of construction, I think we've actually taken our lessons from being hit by hurricanes.
Okay.
In 1995, when we had Hurricane Lewis pass, it did great infrastructural damage to the island. So persons, when they rebuild, they change it up. They change up bits and pieces of what they did to make our structures a little bit more hurricane resistant.
Okay.
Now, with doing that, I was speaking to a gentleman the other day who's saying, now we are building for hurricane resistance. But those of us who keep paying attention to the environment, we notice that there are more tremors in the area, more earthquakes in the area. We sit on an earthquake belt here in the Caribbean. So the fear now is that we are building to make us strong for hurricanes, but are we building to be resistant for earthquakes? So, and in terms of road infrastructure, I mean, when you live in the Caribbean where you're so open to all of the environments, your roads are always going to be deteriorating. And as within a government, no, you have to choose and prioritize, because there's never enough money in the kitty to fix all your issues in an island.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is that the issues are very similar. He did say that they have the best construction folks in the
Yes,
did you
we
say the
do.
Caribbean?
In the Caribbean.
I'm gonna let you say that because you're a guest, so we're gonna just let you go with that. But Honorable Richardson, we're very happy to have you here. Anguilla is a beautiful island. On par with the Virgin Islands, we'll give you that. The beaches are stunning. We are so pleased to have you here in the Virgin Islands for a few days as part of the Sustainability Conference. We wish you well. please take back our love to the people of Anguilla as our sister island.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And I've been told on my way down here that there's such a strong connection between the BVI and Anguilla
Yes.
that a lot of us are cousins.
I was going to say, you're probably my cousin.
Yeah, I've heard that. So we might be related. Because I keep hearing that when I keep telling persons that I was on my way to the BVI.
Indeed. This is your first time?
This is my first time in about 15 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, welcome back.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Carrier Christopher, Acting Director of Communications with Honorable Merrick T. Richardson from Anguilla. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
We are here with Mr. Chamberlain Emmanuel from St. Lucia. You know, you work with the OECS Commission. Tell us, what does your job entail? And first of all, welcome to the beautiful British Virgin Islands.
Yes, well, thank you so much. It's good to be back to the Virgin Islands. I haven't been here in a few years, especially because of COVID. And I work with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. I am the head of the Environmental Sustainability Division. We're responsible for work having to do with things like climate change, blue economy, pollution, biodiversity, and the rest of that space.
So being here in the BVI, it's a big deal for us here in the Virgin Islands. I don't know this is our first time we're chairing this, but we want to make sure this is the best experience that you have. Now, we really spoke to some of the ministers before in talks of all of these islands being very small and persons believing that our voices are too small to be heard when it comes to climate change. Having now worked in the nuclear of this environment, having been a part of this, what does working in the OECS Commission mean to you?
Yes, well, it's very important. As you said, we're dealing with smallest of the SIDS, of the small island developing states in the Eastern Caribbean. And what is very clear is that we really cannot go far alone, and we need to come together, we need to advocate together, we need to plan and execute collectively. Yes, there are obviously nuances and differences, but they also, we share common issues, common challenges, and we need to find common and collective solutions to help to overcome some of the barriers that prevent us from, for example, accessing the right finance and the capacity and those other issues.
Now, here in the Virgin Islands, we suffer, can I say, chronically from hurricanes. That is our thing that we know. June, July, August, September, November, those islands now, we really have the struggles there. And as we've seen with Hurricane Beryl, we're now experiencing more storms early on and definitely greater level of storms. What happens in St. Lucia? What is your Achilles heel in St. Lucia?
Yeah, well, like I said, all of us suffer the same thing. It's just a matter of a toss of the die as to which island will get hit which year. We know we had since 2017 Irma and Maria with Dominica, with Antigua and Barbuda, with the Virgin Islands and other states impacted. Now we have with Beryl. St. Lucia got a bit, but mainly Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So really, we are all in that path, and we all need to be able to find the solution for resilience by working collectively, by advocating on the international stage, and by ensuring that we have the resources and the capacity we need, because we really cannot escape it. We are, and that's one of the things that defines our vulnerability, our very location.
Yeah.
And we're not like a mainland continent where you could just drive to an inner state.
Yeah,
we are bound, and so we have to deal with it from our location.
So because you are representing not particularly St. Lucia, but the OECS Commission, please speak to the public on exactly what your role is. When you leave this conference in a few days, what would you have expected to gain from being here and the ideas, and how does that process work for your organization?
Yes. So the OECS is really established to serve the member states, of which BVI is one. And so what this forum allows as a council of ministers, bringing in ministers in the portfolio, bringing in technical experts, bringing in partners, so that we can dialogue on the key issues, the priorities, find collective solutions, and get also mandates for mandates that guide our work as a OECS Commission letting us know clearly what is it that the member states want us to focus on to carry the work forward. Also, it gives, it's very instructive to the partners.
Okay.
We have many partners, development partners and agencies working in the region. They come with resources, they come with technical capacity. We need to make it clear to them what it is that is priority to our member states so that they can focus and align. Last year at the meeting in Anguilla, we would have cast a vision towards 2030. We would map to 2030. So at this meeting, it's about ensuring that we accelerate the implementation, as our theme is, from aspiration to focused action. We know, we're getting a little bit, fatigued with a lot of the talk and the conferences. We need to make, and these are important because you have to advocate, you have to plan, you have to design, but we want to ensure that the outcomes of these roll into actual on-the-ground implementation. So this meeting is really about taking stock as to what is the progress so far and what else we need to focus on to ensure we see the benefits in member states.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mr. Chamberlain Emmanuel, representing the OECS Commission. Thank you, really, for explaining to us really what that circle does. And we're so happy to have you and the entire team here in the Virgin Islands. And we have promised this will be your best experience yet. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
No stranger to the Virgin Islands, we have Honorable Dr. Cal Dawson, Junior Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries, here as part of Team BVI. Now, we are here at the OECS Council of Ministers Conference, and you are representing Team BVI. What does this day, this moment, this conference mean to you, sir?
Well, first of all, as a Virgin Islander, I'm very pleased to know that we've had the opportunity to host this meeting. It was delayed a bit because of the impact of burial on some of our islands, but tremendously proud that we are able to do it now. I've had the opportunity in the past to represent the Premier at other meetings of Ministers of the Environment. And the environment is so important to us because aside from just simply loving where we live, it is the basis of our economy from the tourism point of view. Our tourism relies on our beaches, it relies on our sailing waters, even our sport fishing waters, as we were just talking about recently. And as such, this meeting concerns itself with environmental preservation. How can we reduce the impact of the impacts of climate change? Such as we've seen that in this year alone, every year for the last 7 years, every year is hotter. And what it means is that there's more energy for storms, vulnerability for drought, vulnerability even for people's health as far as very high temperatures. So we are trying to see how can we mitigate as best we could against the conditions that have been dealt with us. So rather than each country taking it on its own, collectively, when we meet in council as we are now, we can determine, hear from experts, hear the potential strategies that could be adopted, and see how we can work collaboratively for the good of each territory and for the region as a whole.
But ladies and gentlemen, that was Honorable Dr. Cal Dawson, not only the Junior Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries, but really many times a representative for the Honorable Premier. So we are very pleased that you're here. This is a big deal for the BVI. I know that you must be proud. Any lasting words for the public and why this particular meeting was important for the BVI?
I think the timing is great because when we don't want to focus on the disaster and the impacts, but we are 7 years out from our Maria experience, and we have Grenada and St. Vincent who have just felt it in a way that they had not felt it before. Yes. So it means then that the things that we thought it was, if you would say, nice to do as far as action should be taken, there's now imperatives that we must do these things if we want to ensure our survival as a people and as a region and as a place to visit.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Junior Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries for the Virgin Islands, Honorable Dr. Cal Dawson. Thank you, Doc, for taking time off your schedule to join us for a few minutes and just tell about the importance of this conference here for the Virgin Islands and the wider Caribbean.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Great.